I was born in Mexico. I've just been living in Australia for the past 6 years. So yeah, I grew up in a fairly small rural town in Mexico, actually. Not very large, the kind of town where everybody just knows each other. And I think it shaped a lot of how sort of I perceived being gay or being, transgender, or being anything other than heterosexual. Sort of a very sort of quiet, hushed down type of thing that you just should not speak about. Looking back on it, I realized that there were sort of clues all along, I suppose. The moment that sort of the penny dropped was not too long after I moved to Australia. I just woke up one day and realized, wait a second, if I'm attracted to men, that means I must be gay. I'm very grateful to have such a strong support with my mother, because I think it really chips away at you when you don't have that parental support. I think that's the worst kind of rejection and fear that most people have. Not necessarily their friends or other workmates or whatever, because we could all get new friends or new workmates or whoever else, but sort of parents you can't really escape, or you can't really choose anyone else.
At the beginning it was hard because, I think it will be very difficult for him. Maybe he is going to have a lot of trouble finding a partner or something like that, but I saw him very well, very happy, so nothing to worry. It just, I saw he with his partner, very lovely, very caring. Oh my gosh, the only thing I can see is love between them. It's really, really sweet to see that his partner loves him, and it's just different. Yeah, but the love is the same. Yeah.
I'm actually not that big of a supporter on marriage equality, simply because I don't think marriage should be the way the government should define what valid relationships are. What I would really like to see is honestly for sort of the issue to roll over already, for either to pass, or actually the best thing that we could do is for it to pass. But in terms of legislation, I would just really like to see it expand to more than just marriage equality, because so far I think that has been the issue that has been overtaking any other LGBTI issue. So issues around poverty, around domestic violence, around health have largely been either ignored or not received as much coverage or not received as much attention, because marriage equality is sort of the big thing that everyone's hoping and fighting for. And I really hope we continue fighting for other rights, and people don't regard marriage equality as just the final civil rights issue that, once we have it, that's where it stops. Me and a couple of friends started a club called MD Queer at the University of Melbourne this year, and it was essentially that, just a club to promote LGBTI health within the medical training, because we found out that there is little to none. And unfortunately, I have seen quite a bit of homophobia and transphobia occur from within the medical community. It's always pathologizing or refusing to use the right pronouns, or very caught up in sort of biological constructs of what gender and sex should be. And I think that really needs to be thrown out the window and redone. I feel like I've been very lucky that I haven't experienced all that much homophobia. We were in Altona Beach one time, and me and my partner were also just there. I can't remember if we were holding hands or we were just sort of sitting side to side. This group of teenagers, about 3 or 4 of them, came up to us and they just started teasing us a little bit. And they were like, "Oh, is he your boyfriend? Oh, give us a kiss," or whatever. And then one of the guys from their own group said, "Oh, just leave them alone. If they're gay, that's okay. I have a mate who's gay. He's totally fine. He's totally cool." And I looked to him and I said, "Oh, thank you." And I thought that was such a positive experience. Personally, I found that the intersection between sort of my nationality and my background and the LGBTI, it was a bit of a tension between both of them, just because it took me a while to break into the LGBTI community, because I felt it was more of a place for white, sort of privileged people, and I didn't quite identify with that. So my hopes for the Western suburbs would be that it really is able to break that sort of whitewashing that the LGBTIQ community has gone through. At the moment, I'm actually quite grateful that out of pure luck I landed in the Western suburbs when I came to Australia, because it really gave me a good perspective on Australia, in the sense that it was such a wide, broad, multicultural community. In a sense, it sort of hid away some of the racism that had been in Australia, because I thought that there's no way there could be racism here because everyone's so multicultural and everyone sort of respects each other. And for the longest time, I really thought that that's how the entirety of Australia was. And so far, I've just had so many positive experiences living here, not only as an LGBTI individual, but as a person of color or as a person who's sort of from a different background, that it's just really been amazing being able to live out here. Altona is actually a bit of my little sanctuary. It's a good place to just come down and relax. And I've seen some of the most beautiful sights on this beach. I remember very specifically a day in, I think it must have been autumn, one of those weird Melbourne days where it was sunny on one half of the beach and then raining on the other. And I remember just for about an hour and a half just sitting there and watching this rain cloud go by, and there was this massive rainbow going across it because it was sunny on the other side. And I just sat down and watched for an hour and a half, because that was one of the most beautiful things I've seen